What's up, folks? Southern Comic Geek coming to you with another haul video. This time, it's a recap of sorts, at least, of Lexington Comic and Toy Con that I recently visited. At the time of the recording of this video, I've just recently gotten back and kind of put all my stuff together, unpacked the suitcases and the stuff that I was able to buy and pick up. And so if you want to see what I picked up at the con and kind of tell at least my thoughts on the con as a whole, stay tuned for the video. Now, before we get into all of this comic book goodness, go ahead and smash that like button, hit the subscribe button, as well as the bell notification. So when videos like this one drop ever so randomly, you are one of the first people to know and can make the conscious decision as to whether or not to watch it now or later. As long as you watch it, we appreciate you. Appreciate you so much. Going to give you some free stuff. How about some coupons? If you're looking for some protective devices for your collectible goods, such as, but not limited to, your cards, comics, records, etc., visit bcwsupplies.com and at the checkout, use code SCG to save yourself 10% on your order. And if you're like me and you like some good coffee to go with your comics, go to comicsowncoffee.com and use the coupon code SCG at checkout to save yourself 15% on your order. Speaking of Comics Own Coffee, unfortunately, they were not at Lexington. Therefore, I couldn't pick up some more bags, so I'm going to order some myself. So, fresh back, at least at the time of this video, from, and I don't know how fresh I am, but back nevertheless from Lexington Comic Con, which went on, started Thursday night, which that's March the 7th, and goes through Sunday. My thoughts. This is the first time I was going. So Thursday night was kind of billed as a comics only deal. I guess because this is the first time that I've ever been, I'm thinking comics only as a little bit different, and maybe they changed things up for a little bit for this year. But when they say comics only, basically the celebrities weren't there. Okay, so which is fine. They had the celebrities on most of the celebrities on a second floor, which worked out great as far as having enough room for the comic creators and the people in those lines. But you had your normal ancillary items, little trinkets and prints, etc., that you see at most comic cons. Went Thursday night and was actually able to line up all the commissions. I could have got the commissions. I started out with that today. Got almost all my books signed on Thursday, and got picked up a big book. So I could have walked away happy after Thursday, which is great. Leaving Friday to just kind of see what I might have missed, dig through some back issue bins, pick up a couple other books, which is the way I like to do it anyway. The fact that you have a comic convention in Lexington, Kentucky that has 4 days, even a lot of the big cons don't like to do that, and you have way more, or there were way more comic vendors. And so if you like comics, you're always going to have the ancillary stuff because, they got to fill up space. And they have a certain amount of draw as well. But if you like having comic vendors at your shows, Lexington would have been a good show for you. And you not only strike the balance of, to me, having gone to a lot of different shows, smaller shows, corporate-owned shows, etc., it seems like you have to sacrifice a lot of creators. Well, you got to pay for those creators. How you pay for those creators, either expensive ticket sales, all these ancillary booths, comic books booths seem to not be drawn to those type of shows. Or you go to a small show, you get a lot of comics, but there's no creators there. And so it seems like Lexington had a great mix of both. Spoiler alert, I think overall that was probably a 7. When you factor in a 4-day, the spacing out of the celebrities and the comic stuff, and the amount of comic books and the good mix of creators there. And so, really good con overall. And I will make tentative plans to attend again next year, but we'll see how that goes. But and certainly would recommend anybody that likes comics side of things and that likes getting signatures, meeting creatives, etc., to go to a con like this. So let's see what we picked up. Not in any real order. It's random, just like the way these videos drop. And if you know that to be true, go ahead and smash that like button. But I did pick up the Last Ronin 2 Re-Evolution, which is an intentional homage, the artist told me, to the select screen for the Turtles game. So been wanting to pick this up, waiting for it to come out, and so got a cool cover to boot, and got the artist who is from Atlanta, Georgia. I've gotten a cover and it's signed by him before, and he actually did one of the Valiant sketches in my sketchbook that I'll show a little bit later. But yeah, I picked that up from him, so pretty dope. I don't think a spoiler alert because I picked up a lot of cool art, so I'll kind of maybe wait till the end of the video to show those things. But I was able to utilize Bub's Comics art of the deal. So I feel like overall that, especially like when buying cars or any kind of big ticket items, that I feel like I'm a pretty good haggler myself. But it seems that when it comes to comics, and especially particular vendors rather, that Bub has a certain knack for getting. So I saw him, Jambo Comics. Of course, then the next day, saw Bearded Comic Bro and Mrs. Bearded there. Spoiler alert, she don't have a beard. But anyhow, so so talking to Bubs, I was like, man, I saw this book over there. Kind of wanted to get it. Just seemed a little overpriced. And if I'm looking at the comps on a book and it's like severely overpriced, if it's close, all right, let's haggle because I feel like we can get there. I mean, if it's like too far away, like why even start? All you're going to do is insult somebody. So he said, hey, yeah, I've dealt with them before. Let's go over there. So he talked down this book. Actually, he talked down this book so much that he actually said, you even still want it. I kind of talked it down in front of you. But we were able to strike a deal with them, and that's for Fantastic Four number 12, the first time that the Hulk and the Thing face off. It also is a Rick Jones and Thunderbolt Ross appearance. It is a 1-0. And it's a great presenting 1-0, but it's a 1-0 because this cover is split. It is indeed complete. And so CGC really did a crappy job because this piece is there. It's just flipped up. And then when they moved it, they kind of moved because the cover's detached. So the cover kind of moved down a little bit, if you notice there. But yeah, definitely a really key book. Been wanting one. Didn't want to pay the high grade price, but I wanted one that actually looked decent too. So was able to pick this one up. Interesting kind of aside. This is when things were still kind of being settled, and you notice how many fingers the Hulk has there. He only had 3 and a thumb. So there you go. But yeah, so this was definitely the big boy book that I picked up. I kind of got a middle school book too, and then a lot of fillers and guilty pleasure books, as I call them, and I'll show you those a little bit later. But so yeah, that was definitely the big boy book, and so you can understand why after having got that the first day, I was like, okay, mission accomplished. I've come here, I've got a big book, picked up a couple pieces of art, rad art. I'll show you a little bit later. And then went back for more. So this is a sketch card by Lucio Perillo. Ironically enough, he did this at a Galaxy Con in Austin, Texas, which I attended and didn't get anything from him there. But there's this company called VOA. I actually did a video with a small interview on my Instagram, so go check that out. But this company, basically the idea, the premise is validating the authenticity of your art that you buy, and then you, instead of you're protecting the art, but not having to worry about getting lost, damage, so on and so forth, or even with CGC's recent scandals, wondering if you actually got the comic you were promised to do. So you notice there's no gray to it. The slab's more about, authentication and protecting the deal. So I did get this Hulk. And so the way it works is, and he signs the back of these cards, you can actually scan this QR code and you can see him drawing this card. And there is a chip inside this card that you can kind of validate too, so people don't do like they did at the CGC and take out the can change it out with another one. So check out VOA or video of authenticity. They're a couple guys out of Houston, Texas. Pretty cool concept. Had a lot of cool sketch cards and the like. So let's check out some books, shall we? Okay, Doc Samson number 4, kind of a random. I picked up like 1 and 2, and there's only like 4 or 5 issues, so it wasn't a very long run, but didn't have it. So there you go. And I just found in a bin somewhere Galactic Guardians number 1, so I found this number 4. Ivar the Time Walker number 6. Nothing too historic. And then we got a guilty pleasure book. You might see some more of these. Spoiler! And I rescued these folks, these fine folks, Barry Windsor Smith awesomeness from the dollar bin. Bam! Bam! See, that's what I'm talking about. So not only did you have a good mixture of books overall, so talk about Golden Age. I mean, how often do you go to a show and you see like Golden Age? I mean, I was seeing books I'd never even seen before. I'm going to show you one because I picked up a Golden Age book that I've never seen at a con before. Because when you go to a con, yeah, you're going to see the Silver Age keys. That's about the extent of it. And the Johnny Come Lately keys, and I get it. You only got so much room. You're going to put stuff up there to catch people's eye that they recognize the cover. But these guys seem to be going for a different kind of clientele when you have these big Golden Age books. And not everybody's going to walk by and say, oh, man, I know what that is right there. Even talk to one of the vendors about it. So that was pretty interesting as well. Actually, it's Buzzard Brothers, who sells on Elite Comics 11 on Instagram. Picked up these books right here that I'm fixing to show. And talking about a Mystic Comics issue that I was looking at. So, and then to go all the way from there to Dollar Bin Books, which is fantastic. So you've got something to vie for every dollar that is available from the consumer. So I picked these up. There was actually a couple more. I put them in the sale pile, so I'm not going to show them for the video. These are for the PC, but it was a group of run fillers for Captain Marvel, and they had this group together. So I got number 2, number 3, number 9, and number 10. So these are like a little over $6 a piece. So that was pretty cool. Then we got Ninjak number 1. This is done by Justin Mason, and you'll see that he signed it right here. And then this cover, seeing it on his table, was the genesis of why I got him to draw the character, spoiler, that I did in the Valiant book that I'll show later on. So there you go. All right, so this is Harbinger number 1. I've already got, of course, I own the original for this. Jeff Edwards done the cover for this, so I got him to sign it somewhere. Oh, he signs in this light pen up here, way back. Robbie Rodriguez, got him to sign it, and now I got the colorist Rico Renzi was there, and so I got him to sign that. Rico did some story in the X-Men deal right here. Chris Merriman uh, did the back cover to Marvel Comics Presents. This is actually the first appearance of Cyber. You see that guy that's fighting Wolverine there. I've previously gotten this book signed by other creators that worked on it: Sam De La Rosa, Peter David, and Jay Lee. Jay Lee was also at this. This is Chris Merriman's signature right here. Went to pull it out to get him to sign it. He said, "I didn't work on that book," so I pulled it out and flipped it around, and his signature's on the back covers. Oh, well, you know. This is Last Ronin, Lost Years #1, signed by Gavin Smith, who's currently doing, and he told me some upcoming projects. I don't know if I'm at liberty to say, so I won't say them. You'll see them soon enough. But he's currently doing the run of TMNT. And so he did this. I actually had took him this book, which I had bought pre-signed by the Escorza brothers and Kevin Eastman. And so according to CLZ, this is a Gavin Smith. And so I pulled it out and he goes, "That's not me." So he told me that originally they had solicited him to do that issue and it didn't. So word out of to the wise out there that that is not indeed him. This is, however, and I bought this from his table and got him to sign it. Stood there for a while talking just about TMNT and art and all this other kind of stuff. So it was a pretty cool conversation. Then he did, speaking of the main series, this is an homage to issue #1, obviously. And this is issue 140. This is the issue he started illustrating TMNT. There's the trade dress for that Harbinger one that I showed earlier. Got Rico to sign that. This is the 1 in 250 metal. Got Rico to sign that as well. And then Amazing Spider-Man 365. As you can see, I've gotten several creators. So Andrew Pihoy, I think, was there. This is his signature right here. So it's already signed by Peter David, Randy Emberlin, John Romita Jr., Mark Bagley, and Rick Leonardi. So there you go. First appearance of Spider-Man 2099. Andrew Petpoy also inked some of the pages out of this issue. I don't know, art page from that book, but it wasn't one he had done. Paul Pelletier did the Fall of Hulks. Great homage to the Fall of the Mutants from back in the day. And so I'll talk some more about Paul when you see some of his other stuff that he signed for me. I got this signed not only because it was a great homage and it shows all the Hulks on there, but I know where this cover's at, and I've been tempted many times to bite the bullet and buy it. Just hadn't done it yet because this Paul didn't do the cover. He did the interiors, but Ed McGuinness done it, and so it's an homage, which is great. I want Ed McGuinness Hulk, so it's great for that, and it's got all of the Hulk characters on it. So there's no action, but the other things could outweigh it. Let me comment in the comments below. Maybe I should start a GoFundMe. But anyway, so Rico Renzi did this thing. It's pretty neat that he was selling at his table, and it's all the advertisements from the various 80s and 90s stuff. This is, of course, Joe Mad art right here. And I actually own the color guide to the bottom of that X-Men box right there. So that's pretty cool. Andrew Wildman done that cover right there. I got him to sign it last year. But yeah, that is just cool. And speaking of, I didn't mean to do that, but speaking of the Fall of the Mutants ad, that's the homage. If you were not familiar with that Fall of the Hulks, Fall of the Mutants ad I was talking about. Yeah, of course, Extinction Agenda, Power Pack. I should have got June. What's his name? What's her name? That was at the con to sign that. All right, then we got this is the Sweetened Cereal giveaway, the Untold Legend of Batman, and Jose Luis Garcia Lopez. So the interesting thing about this show, I mentioned that it just in general had some great creators, like the young ones you might not have heard about, the ones that are a little more popular flair right now. But you had the two, like Jose Luis Garcia Lopez and Joe Staten, two age-old staples at DC Comics in particular. And these guys are not going to be around much longer, right? So I was like, man, you got two of them at the same show. It was a big play for me making the trip. All right, Green Lantern 50. Ron Mars was also there, but as you can see, I'd already gotten him to sign this. Daryl Banks had already signed it. Jeff Johnson, who done a pinup in here, signed it. And I got Paul Pelletier to sign it. Another tip, that pen soaks, that felt glow-in-the-dark stuff soaks up pen, messed the signature up. This is the newsstand version of this issue right here. So pretty dope. Gorgeous Batgirl 30 cover that Paul did the interiors. Josh Middleton, of course, killed it on these Batgirl covers there. I bought some original art from Paul, not from that issue, but from some of those issues. Green Lantern Corps, first appearance of Kilowog right there. Joe Staten signed it for me. And we got Exo Manowar #1, and this is from the most recent series. This is from Stuart Sager. So Stuart is somebody that I've had on my radar for a while. I'd go on his IG live sales and ask him if he's got any Valiant related art, because I knew he had done these covers, and wasn't ever successful in getting anything. Seen him to be announced at certain cons. Never been able to line it up with my schedule. And so was able to get a really super dope piece for the Valiant book. And he knocked it out of the park. And I picked this up and got him to sign it as well. Got the writer to sign the X-23 Deadly Regenesis. Of course, a Incredible Hulk 340 homage. This is a Tyler Kirkham cover. I'll probably get Tyler to sign it at some point as well. Superstar Holiday Special. This is pretty neat. It's the Wise Men. Of course, they're following the star, as all wise men do, right? And this is signed by Jose Luis Garcia Lopez. It's actually several stories in here, if you're not familiar with the book. But it is also the first time Frank Miller did Batman in this issue. So pretty cool, significant from that standpoint as well. So, so the first day, I had already picked up several pieces of art. I'd already got that Fantastic Four, so I really wasn't ready to spend a lot more money. I'm soft collecting the Gold Key, Dale, Whitman issues of Solar, Magnus, and Turok. And so, especially the Dale ones, because Turok started earlier in 4-color, especially those, you don't see them all the time. You see like the later issues, Gold Key and Whitman, but you don't see that. So I saw Dale, decided to pick it up, didn't pay all that much for it. Great T-Rex cover right there. But then when I go back the next day and I see a great book that I've never seen before at a con, and that is the second appearance. I've only ever seen the first appearance of Turok, which is in 4-color, 655, I believe. I've only seen it twice at cons. I've never seen the second appearance. So I was able to work out a deal with a comic shop out of Chattanooga, Tennessee. And they found out that they're actually Epico's comics and games. So if you're in the Chattanooga area, go check them out. But they're actually putting on a Comic-Con in October. So he told me to reach out to him. So probably plan on going to go to that one. Batgirl 27. This is not one of the Middleton covers, but I actually like this Sean Gordon Murphy version of that. Probably get Sean to sign it at some point as well. But yeah, I got Paul to did the interiors and Norm Rappleton. Okay. To sign that. So that was pretty dope. Found a Web of Spider-Man 69 right before the Spider Hulk issue. As I mentioned earlier, more Bloodshots. Stewart had a Bloodshot copy of that. I didn't know he had done that. I'd seen the EXO one before, but I hadn't seen this one, so got this one from him. Got a Bloodshot 0. And then this person had like a half off. A lot of this guy's stuff was overpriced. It was half off, but like a lot of his stuff was still overpriced. But yeah, I got Captain Marvel 17. Got Marvel Premiere 52, where the Black Panther fights the KKK. And then Marvel Presents number 12, which is a early appearance of the Guardians of the Galaxy. I think that's is it the last issue or next to the last issue? So that was pretty dope. Yeah, and again, normally I don't get that many comics at comic conventions. It's because I'm not really looking for anything, and to have picked up this many comics is a change for me. Superman 82, Glorious Chromium, and there's another one. Picked up the Silver Surfer 146, the last issue. The print runs were running pretty low about that point. I had originally wanted to stop on Silver Surfer. Of course, I've got number 1 through like really where Ron Lim at one point left. Then he come back and got some of the Garney issues, but I really never thought to collect all the way through the end. But then I was like, the issue, and they cut some slack off the price, and so I went ahead and picked it up. The same person also had the Logan Legacy Scotty Young issue signed by Scotty Young, and like I said, they cut me some slack off that price too, so it was pretty dope. Not a Chromium book, but it is a Valiant rarity with the, as rare as they are, the pink label, no price variant, as opposed to the regular one. Thought about getting Paul to sign this one because I found it in the dollar bin, but it's War of the Kings Ascension number 1. This is the Paul Pelletier variant cover. So this is the first appearance of the Raptor. For those familiar with Darkhawk, this is kind of where they start rewriting Darkhawk's origin. And so thought about getting him to sign. I was like, nah, ain't no real sense into it because I already had several books signed by him. And so if I've already got several books signed by somebody, unless the story is just like not life changing, but as they are, unless the story is just like so fantastic, or if it's a book that got a chance that, oh yeah, I want to see these other people and I can get 4 or 5 signatures on it, I'll just let it go. All right. Batman Black and White. So this has been a while since I've actually had anybody signing this book. The lady who, Erica, whose last name is escaping me right now, was the writer for the X-23 book that I showed earlier. She was a letterer in this book. And so several signatures, probably 2 of the most noted ones, Neil Adams and Mark Silvestri. I think that's Mark's right there, right up here. So pretty dope. All right, let's show some original art, shall we? So I've been, let me show you this first. So I've been working on this jam piece for a while. So got one artist to kind of lay it out. with the idea of the Jim Lee X-Men cards. If you remember the Danger Room scene that had 9 connecting cards back in the day, got Dexter Vines to ink. He basically just left the layouts alone and directing. Then another gentleman did the Nightcrawler, but he didn't put the BAMF in there. So Frank Fosco, who did Vanguard, which was a series for Image back in the day, and did the Image Turtle stuff, actually kind of reworked the Sentinel a little bit, made him a little chunkier, and also added Kitty Pryde there and provided the BAMF inks. So it was like Nightcrawler BAMFed up, and then Kitty's like, well, I'm not going to be crushed either, but I can't BAMF. So she just went through there. So I do have the first one, which it could be a solitary piece if I just decided I didn't want to do that anymore, because I am spending more on original art now than commissions, really. But because I had the idea, Bob McLeod, co-creator of New Mutants, to have several of his New Mutant characters be like another piece to this, like where they were fighting, and he had decided on Juggernaut. So at first he was kind of all on board. He's like, man, it's a great idea. I like this, And the more he got to thinking about it, he's like, yeah, let me think about it. I was like, look, I'm not going to beg you for it, dude. If you don't want to do it, just don't. I'm not going to. And then the other thing was, it's like, I hate to be that guy that says, okay, well, how much is this going to cost me? Because then it sounds like I don't really want to pay anything. And it's not that I do or don't. It's just I need to know, right? And so it just gets this weird dynamic. So I was like, yeah, all right, just screw it. Just forget it. All right. So actually the first art piece that I picked up at the show went straight to Joe Staten's booth and picked up a pre-done Kilowog piece and the Little Raccoon. I think he co-created the Little Raccoon guy too, Green Lantern too. So I was wanting to do a piece. He had already had this one pre-done up, so it kind of just worked out. I'll show this here because I haven't shown it on the YouTube channel. I picked this up from Clay McDonald. Great piece with Hulk smashing Zeus. And these are Blue Line inks by Danny Mickey, who had already signed it. And so since Paul provided the original pencils, I got Paul to sign it. And then I got an incredible Hulks page. This is from 620, which is a couple issues prior to that. These are the pencils. And this is them fighting against. So you got several of the Hulk members. You got Scar, you got Betty, you got Hulk. I think that's Jarella, maybe. And then also Bruce's dad, looking all menacing there. This is the first appearance of the Green Door, which was a concept that was introduced then, but then later on really used in the Immortal Hulk run. So I was also able to pick up 2 Batgirl pages, actually sequential ones. So she's fighting this buzzard guy. He's knocked out. Billing's on fire. She's like, no, I'm fixing to go rescue him when she hears the shark guy calling for help. So she says, I believe in you that you can get up. So then he looks at her and pushes her out of the way to safety as the building collapses, and she looks on with horror. So really dope Batgirl sequence, and the fact that I could get 2 sequential pages, and the pages were like $130 for one, $120 for the other one. So it's like, man, this is like cheap comparatively. I mean, obviously that's still money, but comparatively, when you start thinking about what pages go for these days, especially from an accomplished artist like Paul. And so then I was able to pick up something from Jose Luis Garcia Lopez. So he was only doing like just quick head sketches the second day that I was there. So went through his portfolio, a lot of cool pieces, not really any original art that I was really interested in, but he did have this merchandising, prelim, concept art for Batman. I think this is from Batman Returns. The Michael Keaton Batman, and it was right beside a Penguin piece, which would have been from Batman Returns as well. So pretty dope right there. I'd like to. This image looks so familiar to me, and maybe getting the Mandela effect, but this image looks really familiar with me. So if anybody knows or can share that image, uh, be sure to send it to me because it is plaguing me. And last but not least, let's talk about the Book of the Geomancer. So I had a record 4 commissions done in this book. Since I don't really do a lot of YouTube videos today, and I don't know if I've shared them with you or not, I will just share them all with you. How about that? This Eternal Warrior. Always Bo Hampton. Yeah, did that. Can't remember the guys that done the Solar. And all my art pieces are on comicartfans.com, which is in the Linktree link in the description of this video. But this guy did other stuff with candy wrappers. Really dope Solar piece. Got that done at Fan Expo. Carrie Nord. Done that. Bloodshot. And then Jeff Johnson done this outstanding XO. His was actually the first one that I've done. I think I'm fixing to start like writing over here, like to point towards this one. When I got this, before my memory escapes me, as time goes on. But this was one that I got here. And who else did get Shadow Man other than Bob Hall, right? I wanted to go with the original look because I have a sketch cover that has the more biker, wild hair look that he went by longer. And so Bob asked me, he said, you want the original mask? I was like, yeah, I want the original, outfit. He's like, yeah, the one I don't like. So he had changed the mask because originally the mask came all the way down and basically covered, his whole chin face. And then the new one opened this up kind of like Batman's, right? So that was dope. And then Stuart Sager knocked it out of the park too. This is Dr. Eclipse. I'm not sure if Dr. Eclipse is owned by Gold Key like Solar is, and that's why we've never seen him in the V.
I can't connect to your Wi-Fi network. You can find setup instructions in the help section of your Alexa app.
So the V1 era. But I wanted a character that exuded madness because I feel like that's where Stewart would really shine through. And man, he just knocked it out of the park. I mean, we had a long conversation about what we were thinking, and then so this is not something that you normally think of with a convention sketch. Normally with a convention sketch, you're quick little, whatever. Here you go, move on. So really dope. Justin Mason, which I mentioned earlier, showed the Ninjak one. Did a Ninjak much in the same style as the one that he did there. And then I showed you the TMNT book, actually the first one I started out with. This was the last convention sketch that I got. And as we were ending the day on Friday, because he kept thinking like, what have I got myself into? Because these pages are quite a booger to work with. Like they only really support certain mediums. You're trying to get certain colors to work together. You're wanting to do a good job as an artist. And I would say all artists would want to do that for the people that are taking those certificates of appreciation we call American currency from. And so, you're trying to do that, and that thing's just sitting there soaking up, And every time I do a new, a new one, that artist will tell me, say, hey, for the next guy, tell him this. And so I get new tips for by the time I get through this book, I'm going to talk to the guy for an hour before I can even give it to him. but it is interesting, the process. And then they felt like the book itself just makes them like, man, this is awesome. This is different. So it was quite challenging. So I challenged 4 artists uh, in doing all that. So pretty dope, pretty dope. At least I think so. That's who it really matters. But you tell me what you think anyway in the comments down below. Let me know what you think. What cons are you planning on visiting? I'm not sure whether or not I'm going to be going to Huntsville this year because Huntsville is right before I leave to go out of the country. And so I know the next for certain one is going to be in June at Dallas Fan Expo, which is a huge one every year, but this year does have quite the contingent of creators that I'm interested in seeing. But let me know in the comments below which ones you plan to go to and what, sketches and or signatures. I will say the other thing for this show, and it might have just been the people that I was dealing with, I'm trying to remember, did anybody charge me for signatures? It's pretty standard fare. I think, well, Andrew Peatboy said, hey, look, I'm not charging for signatures, but if you'll make a donation to the Heroes Initiative. And so I did that. But I don't think anybody else charged me for signatures, which was great. I know that Jim Shooter was charging for signatures, which it was only $20. Last year at Fan Expo, the people that were handling him then, I won't call their names, but the people that were handling them were charging $50 a signature. Each their own. It's a lot of money. But anyway, so that's where I'm at. Picked up way too much as usual, as we collectors are apt to do. And you know what that means? It means I'm going to need some supplies. And if you need some supplies, you can visit bcwsupplies.com and use the coupon code SCG to save yourself 10% on your order. The link is in the description below as well. And if you forget that, and because I've been running my trap instead of drinking my great Comics on Coffee, it's still here at the end of this video. And so if you want some great coffee to go with your comics, you can visit comicsoncoffee.com and use your coupon code SCG to save yourself 15% on some great coffee for you to drink with your comics even. And so, as always, appreciate everybody for taking the time to watch this video, smashing that like button and the subscribe button if you're not familiar with the channel. And until next time, keep reading, keep collecting. Adios.